I might have a problem. So hey guys, it's me again. Who else would it be? Um, I just got this today. Um, and some of you are wondering, didn't you just get one not that long ago? I did, and then I got another one before this one. That is just off camera. I have an issue with weaponry. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I love my swords. I love swords in general. I'm a huge nerd for swords. Uh, and this one is special not just because I love it, but because it's also probably very familiar to some of you who've watched me play Devil May Cry 5. Um, I have in my hands my own Yamato recreation from DMZ5. And I have something in my throat. And it is gorgeous. Now, this is not a prop. This is not a cosplay. This is a true to life katana. It was handmade. The guy I bought it from did an amazing job with it. Look at all the cool detailing on the guard and whatnot. It's gorgeous. I love this thing so much. He gave me extra bamboo pins, which, for those of you who don't know, in a traditional katana, you put bamboo pins through the hilt to secure your blade to your handle, to the handle. And there are three, I believe, in this one. And I love it. I love this so much. This is not a toy. I'm going to tell everybody this right now. This is not a toy. This is not a, like I said, it's not a prop. It's not a cosplay. This is a 100% authentic katana. This was not licensed by Capcom, so I guess you can't technically say it's a Yamato, but I don't think Capcom would sell real katanas anyway as merch. If they did, they would probably be sold out because I would buy everything. It'd be pretty cool if that's the future of merchandise, though. True to life recreations of weaponry and armor and such from video games. That would be sick. Another thing I didn't show, there's a lot of cool detailing. Oh god, my light's not gonna shine properly. Damn it! Fuck, how am I gonna fix this? I'll just turn my overhead light on. This one. There we go. Oh, we're getting classic Matty Icedq lighting up in this bitch. But you can see the cool detailing above the guard, and it's I love it. And it's also on the pommel too. It's beautiful. All the etching work and such and the detailing on this is amazing. Um, but yeah, I love this. You can even see the temper line across the whole blade, and it's gorgeous. It reflects in everything. This is steel, and it is not light. It's a tad bit heavier than I expected it to be, in a good way, in a very good way. Uh, it to me it's very short. To me, it's very short because from tip of the blade all the way down, it only comes up to my waist. But in terms of katana length, that's perfect. That's perfect length. Because that extends the reach of my swing more than enough. and it just makes me happy. Okay, it's these types of joys that give my life meaning. And I know that sounds sad to some people, like, yeah, he needs a sword to validate his existence. Yes, I do. Because I'm a materialistic bitch like that. I need these types of things in my life. And this is actually the first real katana that I have ever owned. Anything else that I've ever owned that was a katana was either a prop or a for cosplay use only. This is a real 100% ready to use, could slice my hand off at any time if I even slip with this thing. Because the thing everybody knows about katanas is they're very, very, very ridiculously sharp. And that is true to this one. Katanas also have ridiculously tough edges. And people like the term diamond hard edges. Nobody take that out of context. The diamond hard edge of a sword was originally given, that title was originally given to the katana because they were forged so well and with such care that almost nothing could destroy. It was such a good design that it's used even to this day. Granted, with the industrialization of firearms and heavier weaponry that were more effective and arguably has killed more people, the katana is still probably one of the biggest names in weaponry. And this one is mine, and I may or may not be getting another one eventually. It won't be as high quality as this one, unfortunately. This one I found on Amazon, and the creator hand makes these. And I don't think, because I wanted to get this one first because this is from DMC5. This is the Yamato from Devil May Cry 5. And for those of you who don't know the difference, the Yamato and any other in DMC 3 and 4 had a different design, and I'm going to get that version of the Yamato next. After that, I'm going to focus on getting a replica of the Rebellion from Devil May Cry, which has been a standout weapon in the Devil May Cry arsenal for ever. Mostly DMC 3, but we'll minorly say DMC 2 because, yes, the Rebellion made its first debut in DMC 2. It's probably the only thing that game was ever good for, was introducing the Rebellion into Dante's arsenal, which is sad. It's pretty sad. Like, the game itself, narratively speaking, was pretty weak. The gameplay was kind of boring. It didn't even improve on the original. I preferred playing the original over DMC 2. And then DMC 3 completely flipped the formula on its head and remade the entire formula. I'm going to turn these lights off. There we go. I'm going to turn those lights off because that's screwing up my lighting. Which isn't even because I don't have another light over here. I need to get another light eventually. People are probably going to give out to me, well, if you need another light, maybe you should stop spending money on swords. Shut up. This was money well spent. This was money well spent. I will probably look back on this day very fondly in the future when I received my authentic Devil May Cry 5 Yamato. And I love it. Like, I still look back on the day I received that, which is my Devil May Cry neon sign, which I swear I'm going to use eventually. I may take a picture of it at one point and just post it on Twitter or something for you guys to properly appreciate how good it looks on my wall. It's a fantastic piece. I don't regret buying it. I do regret that my camera can't pick it up. I do need to upgrade my camera again at one point because this webcam ain't cutting it. Webcams in general aren't going to cut it anymore. I'm going to have to actually get a legit camera, a legit camcorder, and go from there. But yeah, I have a huge obsession with swords and weaponry in general. Guns, not so much. I enjoy shooting guns. Like when Nick and I went to the gun range some months back. I enjoyed shooting guns. But there's something relatively pure and simple about picking up a weapon that literally anyone else can pick up, but the only reason it works in your hands is because you have the skill to actually wield it properly. Like, and I know anybody could pick up a big stick and say, yeah, I know how to wield a sword. But there's a lot into sword play that a lot of people don't think about. And there's probably a lot about a sword play that I don't think about that I probably need a lot more training on. But it's just one of those art forms that's kind of losing itself to the modern world that it shouldn't. Because if your sword play, if I could speak English for 5 seconds, but if your sword work is so good, it flows so well, it's almost like watching someone dance. It's ridiculously cool to see some people pick up a blade and just go to town with it, and just to see how well they wield it. Like, I am far and away from being able to be that skilled, but one day, people shall rue the day. And also, there's kind of a hierarchy in terms of weaponry in my book. This Yamato is now number 2 to the hierarchy. Instantly, the moment it got in here, it is now number 2. The only reason it's not number 1 is because it does not beat my Eindride. And my Eindride is such a beautiful piece of work that I can't bring myself to not have it next to me at all times. Like, if things go bump in the night, this is the thing I grab. Not just because it's big. That's not the reason. The reason why, it's because I, as a sword wielder, prefer a double-edged sword. And I would consider this a two-handed sword, but it's not quite long enough to be considered a long sword. In my book, I wouldn't consider this a long sword. It could be. It could be a long sword. But I could wield this with one hand capably and very accurately and deal real damage. The problem is the benefit over a katana over a double-edged sword is the katana has only one cutting side. Because the backside, for those of you who don't know, is completely flat. Completely blunted. And that is because it's used for blocking and deflection. Where the front side, because if you're going to block something, you're not going to block it with the edge. You're going to block it with the back. So you're going to block the attack or deflect the attack, and then you're going to cut them down. And that's kind of the benefit. So if it ricochets and hits me, it's going to hurt, but it's just a flat edge. It's not going to cut into me. It's not going to slice me. If this were a reversed edge katana, it would be difficult because, for those of you who get the reference, please tell me someone else has watched Kenshi. Please tell me someone else has watched Kenshi, uh, and knows about the reverse katana, which is by far one of the coolest weapons ever, because it gives you a distinct advantage over your enemy every time. I'm pretty sure they were making a live-action version of Rurouni Kenshi. Or back in the day when they called it Samurai X. I vaguely remember that. I just dated myself really hard right there. It's fine. I'm 23. I'm an old man. I might as well be 1 foot in the grave. It's totally fine. But yeah, if I love my weaponry, I love my swords, especially this one. This one is my favorite because I could deal the most damage with it. But this one has more elegance to it. And it is a lot lighter than than my Eindride. But it's also got my nerd factor in mind, because it's from a video game that I play a lot of and that I fucking love. Because I don't know if you guys knew. I know I made an entire video on it, but I don't know if you guys knew. I fucking love Devil May Cry 5. It's quite possibly one of my favorite. It's quite possibly my favorite action video game of all time. I wouldn't consider it my number one game of all time, but I would definitely put it in the top 5. That's how high I would put it, because it's just that good. If you guys haven't played any of the Devil May Cry games, you're missing out. You're missing out. The Devil May Cry HD collection has the first 3 games. Devil May Cry 4 isn't that expensive. Well, it depends on if you get the special edition, because I bought the special edition because I wanted Virgil, obviously, for obvious reasons. And then Devil May Cry 5 is the most recent and probably the best out of the 5 games. I have not played Pinnacle of Combat. I did see the cool CG trailer that had Mundus in it, because they completely re-CG. They completely redid the Summit of Temenegru battle, the first battle with Virgil from Devil May Cry 3. They did it in CG for the first time. That was cool. I want a Devil May Cry 3 remake. Please, come on, Capcom. I know you have the money to do it. I know you have the power to do it. Give us a modern version of Devil May Cry 3, because it had some of the coolest set pieces ever. Devil May Cry 5 has probably the best formula, but Devil May Cry 3 probably had the best set pieces of any of the games. The only reason the original Devil May Cry, I would kind of be meh about getting a remake of the original Devil May Cry, would be because that was the time before they had the modern formula that Devil May Cry 3 established. And I'm not sure how that would translate into a remake. I'm sure they've thought about it. Also, I know someone out there is going to give me grief about not playing DMC Devil May Cry. I'm not going to play the reboot because the reboot is crap. There's a lot of gameplay elements that are good, I agree, but the gameplay is crap. The story is crap, and I have zero interest. Sorry, not sorry. I know there are some people that there's a small group of people that loved the reboot. I didn't. Because DMC Devil May Cry came out around the same time as Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. And of the two games, Metal Gear Rising did better. Even though Metal Gear Rising never got a sequel, even though it deserved it. I would have loved a sequel to Metal Gear Rising. That would have been cool. I don't know if they ever sold enough to get a sequel, to be able to constitute making a sequel, because they were focusing more on the Metal Gear Solid games at that point, because Metal Gear Solid 5 came out after that. I don't know. Capcom has a lot of cool things that they're not releasing that they could be. And it makes me sad. Besides, I'm not happy with Capcom right now anyway. Because of Resident Evil Village. Because I of all people, not only because I love the Resident Evil series and because I've played most of the games, not all of them, I'm not the biggest fan of all of the games, I've played a good number of them. And I played the 2 and 3 remake in my own time. I thought about doing Let's Plays on those, but it's kind of been done. There would be nothing beneficial for me to be playing Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes for a Let's Play. It would give me more videos, but that's not why I do it at the end of the day. I'm not sure some people understand that. I'm not sure. Just because I don't play a game on my channel doesn't mean I never play it. Like, I'm sure if somebody has me friended on Steam and they see games that I own, that I have played but have not made videos on, it's not because I don't like them. It's because I don't have... For one, it depends on the game, because if it's a certain game that I could do videos on, in my opinion, it would be that my commentary would not be able to suit that kind of video. On the other hand, there's also games that other people, dozens upon dozens of other people have done Let's Plays on, especially the higher echelon of YouTubers. I don't play them, like the Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes. I played them really, really late. Like, I didn't play them until right before Resident Evil Village came out. I only bought them off chance, like just on a sale. I got them on a sale. And I got them both 40-50% off. I can't remember. But I played them both. Resident Evil 2 was better. The remake for Resident Evil 2 was fantastic. Some things I would gripe about, but other things I would not. Resident Evil 3 seems too linear. Like, it's too start to finish. And there's not too much of the exploratory thing going on. And a lot of the maps seem kind of closed off. I don't know. It seems like they could have done more with it, but they chose not to. Kind of like Resident Evil Village. Like, that was something that disappointed me about Village, was that you had this entire village, and yeah, you could explore most of it, but the more interesting parts that you did see and you did explore, you only explored once, and that was it. And if you didn't get everything, too bad. So yeah. And the fact that they have a challenge to get through the game in 3 hours is ridiculous, because that means they knew it wasn't that big of an experience. They knew it wasn't that long of a game. And I was hoping for a Resident Evil 4-esque $16 to $20 time sink, because compare the amount of videos I made on the original Resident Evil 4, and I say original because I'm gonna get to that. Look at the amount of videos and the amount of content I got out of the original Resident Evil 4 which was made a long time ago, back in the GameCube era, when I was very little and had very little understanding of game mechanics in general, and recognized that that game was fucking amazing. And compare it to the amount of videos I got out of Resident Evil Village, while putting the same amount of time into. To be fair, I will give Village this. It did get several hour-long episodes out of me. That is something that I did with Resident Evil Village that I did not do with Resident Evil 4. And part of me is not okay with that, and part of me is okay with that, because I only ever got 8 videos of it done. But I did the whole game in 8 videos. Compared to 18, 19. I would have got it done in 19 videos if I had stuck to my normal 30 minutes. And how many did I do of Resident Evil 4? 20. I did 20 videos of Resident Evil 4. And arguably I enjoyed 4, playing through 4 again more, even though it has certain parts that I absolutely despise. There are parts of Resident Evil 4 that I absolutely despise that discourage me from ever playing it. But when I did my Let's Play of it, I did not regret going through those sections again. I did not. Like the puzzle section with Ashley, towards the first half of the game. I hate that section. I hate that puzzle. But it's also because I also hate those armor things. I definitely hate those armor things. Not later on as enemies, but in that Ashley section where you're completely defenseless, I hate that. I hate that a lot. The Ashley mechanics in general, I hated those. I hate that. That's the one thing of Resident Evil 4 that they definitely need to improve on if they're doing a remake, which from what I've seen, they are. Possibly. I hope so, because I want to see the new actor for Leon give it a shot to do an older, more gruff Leon. That would be amazing, because I like the new actor for Leon. I do. Don't get me wrong. I like the old actor. He does fantastic work. But I do really like the new one. And he does a very good job with Leon. We need more games with Leon. I'm not going to lie. Because Leon is in 2 games and then 6. And 6 wasn't even that good to begin with. And then he's never heard from again. No references in 7, no references in Village. Even though 7 confirmed it's all in the same timeline. No references to Leon, nothing. And that makes me sad. But it also makes me hopeful for a Resident Evil 4 remake. This video went into some weird directions. First I started talking about my new sword, and then I started talking about swords for like 15 minutes, and now I'm talking about Resident Evil, which is a can of worms on its own. Because there's so many spin-off games, there's so many sequels. I think that's kind of the problem Resident Evil has come into at this point. I think it's to the fact that it's come into so many sequels that even if people want to start playing, they would still have to play, like, even now. Whereas Resident Evil 4, I would consider my favorite Resident Evil game of all time. Not only because it's the scariest, well, not the scariest, but also it balances the horror with the action very well. and it also makes the action very stressful, which is what it should be. It shouldn't be point and shoot and done. The enemies go down, which the harder difficulties of Village fix that. But Resident Evil 7 made it scary. It made it legitimately terrifying from start to finish. Like, I bet if I went and played it now, I wouldn't be as scared of it. It would still terrify me. There are parts of it that would still scare the shit out of me. I consider it to be one of the best Resident Evil games of all time. Resident Evil 7, I do. And I consider Resident Evil Village one of the biggest Resident Evil disappointments of all time. Only topped by 5 and 6. And that's what I have to say about that. And I get they're trying to be more story-driven, which is difficult when you do a horror game, because a storyline in a horror game is kind of a B-plot to the actual horror that goes on. You actually have to make your game scary before you put story elements in. You have to, otherwise the game isn't scary. It's just the way it is. It's how Amnesia did it. I doubt Amnesia even considered what its story was going to be until after it had already finished most of its production. The story came second. And Amnesia: The Dark Descent story is really good. But then you come into the problem with Amnesia Rebirth, where the story comes first, and that's really cool and all, that it's all connected to the original, but then if your game isn't scary, it just turns into a disappointment. And I know people rated Amnesia Rebirth really high, but true fans of Amnesia understand this is not the sequel we waited 10 years for. We didn't wait a decade for them to pussyfoot around and give us a half-finished game. Visually amazing. Story-wise, it connects to the plot of the original game very, very, very well. It connects a lot of what was sprinkled in Alexander's story into the new one very, very, very well. It expands and makes them very relevant. However, it wasn't that scary. There are some moments that it is very scary. Like I think the game, for me, it peaked at the very beginning. It peaked at the very beginning when I didn't know what the monster was, and I didn't know when it would appear, and it appeared at the very end of the last area with the tank and whatnot at the end. That's where the game peaked, and it never reached those heights again. Which is sad, because so much of the unknown was keeping me from trying to explore. That and the threat of imminent death, of darkness and fear. The fear mechanic added a little bit extra, but for me, the fear mechanic, it just obscures my view of the game. And I don't like it. The Dark Descent did it a lot better with the sanity system, where as your sanity degrades, it slowly warps the environment. I love that a lot more than the fear system in Amnesia Rebirth. And I think it's for that reason, and I think it's because Amnesia Rebirth is not as... There's not as much to work with Rebirth for custom stories, and that's why nobody has made any good ones yet. From what I've heard. I've been on the lookout in the Steam Workshop and on... Fuck is that site called? Oh, God. ModDB, that's right. ModDB. I've been looking on ModDB specifically. Oh. So someone was making a remake concept. Amnesia Rebirth. First omission. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Okay. No, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. All right, never mind. I tip my hat to you. Remake of the first chapter. This interests me greatly. Remake of the first chapter of The Dark Descent. That could be very fascinating. Like, I'm not lying. I'm looking at it. I'd have to move it to my other screen. But yeah, someone's making, it's a remake concept. It was released back in March. That's very fascinating. That's really cool. I don't know. I'll have to look at it when I play it for myself. And I'll know within the first like 10 seconds of me. I'll probably just make a video on it in general because that would be really cool. Ugh. Anyway, I'm done talking. I'm done spouting my nonsense. This video has gone on in weird directions all over the place. So anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I love you guys a lot. You guys are amazing. I appreciate all the support you guys give. And as always, I will see all of you in the next video. Bye!